Hello, Darren Moore here from CIM. Thank you for joining my short webinar today. I hope you've done in under 30 minutes. If you have any questions, you can pop them in the chat. If I don't answer them on the webinar, I'll be sure to get back to you by phone or email. I run this webinar today with one of our clients, Cowiesburn, who manage hundreds of commercial buildings across the UK. I'm joined by one of their very own, Stephen Gordon. Stephen is one of their property managers in Glasgow and has over 2 decades of experience in this space. Stephen, how are you today? Can you hear me, Stephen?
Hi, Dan. Good afternoon. I'm great. Thank you very much for asking. I hope you're well.
Thanks very much. That's great. Thanks for joining us today. Just to mention as well, this webinar is live.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Super. So this is today's agenda. This will be a four-fold presentation. I'm going to start with a high-level overview of CIM. Then I'm going to talk through the onboarding process, followed by the Peak workflows and benefits. And I'm going to finish on some of Peak's additional features and benefits. And I'm also going to bring Stephen in at different stages throughout this webinar to give his own experience of CIM. So why CIM? We enable our clients to drive superior financial and environmental performance by digitizing your building operations. Peak is the name of the CIM software that is fully developed and maintained by the CIM team. The areas that would benefit your organization include OPEX reduction. We can help you reduce your building's energy consumption and help streamline your maintenance performance, increase your equipment lifespan. I don't like saying this as my background is mechanical, but mechanical systems are designed to fail. Added strain accelerates that rate of failure. And reduction in CO2 emissions. We can help you with your short and long-term CO emission targets and goals. So how does CIM work? What our platform does, it continuously monitors the building's equipment. Initially, there are 3 main areas that we look to acquire the data from. Firstly, we look at the metering data from the energy provider, which gives you the whole of the building's energy consumption in terms of electricity and gas. We then look to acquire your data at the sub-metering level inside your building at your switchboard, and if there's any other additional meters at your equipment level. But most importantly, we go deep down to the mechanical system and acquire data at all the individual equipment levels, such as sensors and valves, across your entire building. But what this also means is increased complexity. That's why it's very important to have a powerful software and technology to be able to structure that data, normalize that data, and make sure it's a standardized approach across the whole your whole portfolio. This slide above us just shows a typical setup of how we acquire that data, where we have a baser, which is a term that we give to data acquisition box, it's a handheld device. We'll start streaming the data from your building network and send it to the secure Amazon Web Cloud. That's where we overlay our engineering algorithms that are continuously monitoring every single piece of equipment, every single sensor, 24/7, and front loading any mechanical failures, energy waste, or tuning opportunities. We've also developed a user-friendly workflow where we can assign alerts to the different teams that are involved in maintaining the building and action them all on the cloud-based platform that is compatible with any laptop or phone. And finally, we have built a non-technical solution, so users with less technical expertise can really engage the platform and get value out of it. Because as we know, buildings are very, very complex between AHUs, chillers, heat pumps, fan coil units. You nearly need a degree in engineering, both mechanical and electrical, to really understand the equipment, how it works and operates. So what our platform does, it bridges that gap. So here we have a typical onboarding timeline. From when we receive the PO, we look to have complete the kickoff meeting within 7 days. This is the first engagement we have with the property manager, has with customer success, who will go through the onboarding process and start gathering the relevant information. By day 14, we plan to have the heavy lifting done in terms of commissioning, such as configure and post the baser to your building, configure your main meter data, set up the building platform, add users. By day 20, we plan to have overlaid the appropriate engineering algorithms that's relevant to your data, and you would expect the alerts to start going live. And then by day 30, your building is live, and what you're left with is a bespoke platform for your building. And what's really important throughout these 30 days is the engagement on site, which brings Stephen in nicely for my first question. Stephen, does this timeline mirror your building, and what has been your experience throughout this process so far with CIM?
Yeah, that's pretty much spot on, Dan, when it comes to the onboarding. We've been using Peak in this building for around 3 weeks now. Although still in its infancy as part of this, as far as this building's concerned, you know, we've already started to see the benefits from the advantages of having it in place. Mark Ryan, who's our customer contact, has been great in terms of the onboarding. He's been very helpful. We've been having kind of video calls on a daily basis since it went live. He's been taking me through the system, showing me how it works, although it is pretty user friendly. That much so, I've actually started to action issues, rectify issues even before any kind of formal training, if you like. So it is very user friendly. And again, Mark's been paramount to helping me get on board.
That's great. Great to hear. Great to hear. Nice shout out to customer success and Mark Ryan in particular. And it's great to hear that it's a user-friendly platform and that you engaged with the platform before any training was done, which is what we like to hear. And that's one thing we tried very hard to do is develop a platform that's very, very user-friendly for the person, you know, you can have any amount of experience within the game. Thanks for that, Stephen. It's great to hear. Okay, so for this next stage, I'm going to go through live examples of alerts that have been generated, assigned, and closed out by users of our software. So here we have an alert generated with the fan coil unit. Our software has identified an issue with the valve, which controls the cooling. Our software gives a detailed description on the issue and the rule that triggered the alert. But not only does it give you a detailed description, it also gives you a list of detailed solutions from the most probable to the least probable, so that your on-site team have a step-by-step on how to rectify the issue. If we click View Charts on the bottom of the screen, we can take a deep dive into the data. So here you can clearly see that the valve position at the top of the fan coil unit is at 0%. But the fan coil unit supply temperature is at 9.23. So we clearly have an issue here with the valve passing chilled water, especially when you can see that the outside temperature is at 27.5 degrees. And this is another impressive feature on our platform where you can assign the issue to the relevant contractor. In this case, the alert was assigned to Stuart. So when Stuart logs into the platform, he can see that he has an alert assigned to him with a detailed description and solution attached. So in this case, he replaced the actuator, which rectified the issue, and he closed out the alert. So here we have an alert that has been generated on an AHU. So our software has identified an issue with the supply air. So again, we give a detailed description and solution, but if we click View Chart, we can get a deeper dive and a better understanding. So as you can see from the chart, the AHU supply fan speed is operating at 100%. But if we look at the supply air set point, we are looking to achieve 500 PA, but we're only achieving 270 PA. So there's clearly an issue here somewhere. On further investigation, we have identified that there was a spacer in the pressure sensor that should have been removed that was causing an inaccurate reading. And once the spacer was removed from the AHU, it was able to achieve the desired airflow, which resulted in the fan speed to reduce by approximately 20%. And you can see from the graph, the fan speed dropping off and achieving its desired airflow. So here, an alert generated on Stephen's property. It's an issue with an FCU, fan coil unit, operating outside normal running hours. So as you can see, if I click the View Chart function, the fan coil unit is operating until 3 a.m. in the morning. Which brings on to Stephen again. So Stephen, I'll pass this one to you. Give us an understanding on how the software helps you identify this issue and maybe talk us through the rectification process on site.
Yeah, well, pretty early on, the first couple of days since the peak went live in this building, Darren, we noticed we got a couple of alerts to obviously highlight that there was some unusual time activity that didn't marry up with the time schedules on our current BMS, the Trend 963 system. The Trend 963 system would never have highlighted that kind of information. So along with an investigation, along with myself and our M&E team, we found there were some kind of rogue time schedules on the local controllers on the floors. Pretty much all the floors had these rogue time schedules, and we'd no idea how long they'd been there for. Again, that wouldn't be highlighted on our current BMS that we have in place. Through some digging and work and collaboration between myself and the M&E team, we reset all these time schedules, removed them all, so wasn't anything running out with our main BMS schedule, if you like. So that kind of cleared a lot of those alerts and solved that issue. Again, it would never have been highlighted on our own Trend 963 system without the help of this, the peak.
Yeah, and that's a great point. It's great to show the power of data analytics and the power of the peak platform. Identify the issue early on. I think it was as soon as it plugged in, you said the BMS didn't recognize our window, picked it up, and it was a rogue time schedule on localized controllers, which could be easily overlooked. And you're able to work with your M&E team on site and get it sorted through GC controllers, which is great to hear. And that's just the power of data and what the power that we can provide by integrating a platform like ourselves. So we'll go on. The thermal comfort score is one of the many features that our users love to use. It gives your building a zone thermal compliance about 100%. In Stephen's building, we're continuously monitoring 121 zones. We currently have 98 ideal zones, 4 warm zones, and 19 cool zones, giving us a score of 71%. Stephen can see what zones are achieving set point, but more importantly, Stephen can see what zones need some attention. And another impressive feature is by clicking the action button, Stephen can assign the alert to his contractor to rectify in his next visit. So Stephen, I might go to you again. Can you give us your experience of using this feature, the thermal compliance?
Again, this wouldn't be something that we would be included in our current BMS system. Thermal comfort compliance would not be available, simply not available in the current system. Peak has given us this advantage to go through these areas, identify problem areas, and then using the peak comfort score for the building has increased significantly since we've had it in place.
That's great to hear. So again, the peak platform literally fronts those issues and identifies where the problem areas are. And this is something that you wouldn't have before, which really kind of boosts your tenant compliance as well to make sure that there's no hot or warm areas or zones inside your building, which again, it's very good and it makes your life a bit easier on site as well. You don't have people coming complaining to you, and kind of focus on the data-driven maintenance rather being reactive maintenance, which before I'm sure that every property manager that's on the phone call here knows about. So we'll keep on moving on swiftly. So here's another one of our features, the metering data. It's beneficial for property managers to get a benchmark on how your building is performing in terms of energy consumption. This is a representation of Stephen's energy consumption since we're going live in the past few weeks. So again, Stephen, I'll pass this on to you. Can you give us understanding of the progress so far and maybe your experience in terms of how CIM and how the Peak platform has helped you reduce your energy consumption and offer cost savings off the back of it?
Yeah, as I say, I'm still pretty much in the learning process when it comes to Peak, but using it on a daily basis, you can see the difference. Again, going back to the thermal comfort score, again, we wouldn't have noticed that without this this tool. It will certainly make my job easier. It'll certainly make our M&E guys' job easier once they're on board, and hopefully going forward it'll solve a lot of issues, energy-wise, comfort-wise, etc.
That's great to hear again. Yeah, it's good to hear. And I'm just pointing out some early energy savings just from site. So I think since we've onboarded only 3 weeks ago, like you mentioned, we've achieved a 70% reduction week on week, which is great savings. And then that equates to about 30,000 sterling, which is huge savings, and it gives it's roughly an ROI of nearly 500+%, and that's just on energy savings alone. Were you which is a great start. So again, we'll keep on going. So here, folks, we're nearly coming to the end of this short webinar, and I might just leave Stephen just with the final word. So Stephen, how has CIM changed the way you operate your building? And maybe give us an understanding in how Peak has changed your day-to-day.
Yeah, it's certainly given us more data, Dan, than we had before, more data to work with. It also pinpoints clearly the issues, if there's any issues on the floors with regards to HVAC, heating and stuff like that. Again, certainly something we wouldn't have had before using our current BMS system. So it's a good add-on, if you like, and it'll be a big help for me. Again, I'm still in the learning process, but with daily use, I'm sure it'll become second nature to me. Again, as I said before, it'll also be a huge help to our M&E guys who work on site, and it will make their job easier as well when it comes to maintenance and reactive jobs. Hopefully, it's been great. It's been, again, a lot of data involved, but the more data, the better, in my opinion. Thank you very much for inviting me along as well, Tess, to take part at my first webinar. So it went well, I think. So I hope everybody found it useful.
Yeah, no, and again, that's great points to end with. So CIM has been able to give you more data, been able to identify more issues on site that's causing the high energy consumption. And then it helps you to easily maintain it by engaging other people within inside your building, because as we know, it takes a lot of people to look after a building, between electrical contractors, mechanical contractors, the automation contractors. So it's one platform that everyone can interact and collaborate and work in a positive sense together. So Stephen, like, there's some great points there. There's some great points. Look, great for everyone to come out. There's a few questions in here that I might just have a look. So here we have, so how does the diagnostic part work? Are there possible causes of giving a fault part of your library? So what we have in the back, so let's see, Ricardo asked the question. So we have experts engineering algorithms that's overlaid on your data. So essentially, like I said before, you'll have a bespoke platform for your building. And if there's any issues, so if there's any issues, what our platform will do, it generates a detailed alert, but only when it generates a detailed alert, it will generate a detailed description. So that is all powered, and that's all the brains behind the platform itself. So it will analyze control loops, and what it'll do will be able to pinpoint the exact issue in the mechanical chain. And again, there's a QR code here as well. So if anyone wants to scan that QR code here, my details will pop up, and I'll be more than happy to kind of give you a better working example of what's going on. So another question here, is there a way to realize water savings? So we're a software company that requires data. So if we have the data, we'll be able to overlay rules, we'll be able to cut it, we'll be able to show you insights that you wouldn't have been able to see before. But if we have the data, we can work with that. So that was just sent in by an anonymous attendee. And thanks very much for everyone for joining. But what I'll do is, any questions I didn't get to, I'll give people, we're just gone to the 20 minutes now. So what I'll do, if any people want some bit of their lunch break back, just maybe scan the QR code and maybe just reach out to me, and I'll be able to get back to them. But great engagement here on site, guys. Again, Stephen, thank you very much for your time, and I really hope you enjoyed today's session, and we'll talk to you soon. Cheers, Stephen.
Thank you.